Hi, I'm Willow, and these are my friends Bub the bacteria and Sal the superbug, and today we're going to be learning about antibiotic resistance.
Picture this. A 5-year-old boy is playing on the playground with one of his friends when he trips and falls on a rusty nail, scraping his knee. A few days later, the wound is infected, and his mother takes him to a doctor who prescribes the boy a dose of methicillin, a common antibiotic. He takes most of the recommended course of the medicine, but stops when his infection looks healed. A few days after the boy stops taking his antibiotics, his infection returns, so he goes back to the doctor, who prescribes him another round of methicillin. But now, his bacteria developed the genes for antibiotic resistance, and the medicine no longer works. Why? Because the bacteria were under selective pressure, meaning that the bacteria with the gene for methicillin resistance had an evolutionary advantage, and those were the bacteria that survived. Why did this happen? Well, most of the Staphylococcus aureus, or staph bacteria that infected the boy's wound, died, but not all of them. Some of these bacteria developed a mutation that allowed them to become immune to the methicillin. This could have happened several ways. 1. Some of the bacteria may have had an intrinsic or natural immunity to the antibiotic the boy was prescribed, or 2. Some of the bacteria acquired the immunity due to a random point mutation in the DNA. When a bacterium becomes antibiotic resistant, it is extremely easy for the gene coding for antibiotic resistance to move to nearby bacteria using a special loop of bacterial DNA called a plasmid. This occurs through horizontal gene transfer, which has 3 forms: transformation, transduction, and conjugation. In addition, the genes for antibiotic resistance can be passed by vertical gene transfer from a parent cell to a daughter cell. These antibiotic-resistant bacteria work in 4 ways: by preventing an antibiotic from reaching its target in the cell, by pumping antibiotics out of the cell, by degrading the antibiotics, and by changing the antibiotic's target within the cell. So what happens to the boy is up to you. He is just one of 2 million individuals in the U.S. who fall ill from antibiotic-resistant bacterial infections every year. You may be wondering, what's the big deal? The truth is, antibiotic resistance may very well be the next public health threat, with 23,000 people dying in the U.S. each year from these infections. Previously rare infections like methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, which the boy developed, are now commonplace and often impossible to fight. Why is antibiotic resistance suddenly such a huge issue? The answer is not simple, but a major problem is that many people don't understand how antibiotics actually work and the repercussions to using them improperly. The CDC recently found that 1 in 3 antibiotic prescriptions from American doctors are unnecessary and incorrect. On top of this, very few antibiotics have been developed in the last 2 decades. There is little economic benefit to pharmaceutical companies because of high development and testing costs for new antibiotics. How can we fix this? It won't be easy. We need to educate the doctors about properly prescribing antibiotic treatment to patients and educate the public about the dangers of antibiotic misuse. Several steps can be taken to lower the risk of antibiotic-resistant bacteria developing, like only using prescribed antibiotics, taking the entire dose of antibiotics, and eating antibiotic-free meat. In addition, we need to rethink how antibiotic development is funded in order to encourage pharmaceutical companies to invest in research and production.
Thanks for watching!